Okay, picture this. You walk into a totally silent room, and bam, you almost instantly feel the hidden energy. No one's raising their voice, there's absolutely zero drama happening. But your brain, it's already finished scanning the whole room. You catch an avoided glance, a forced smile, maybe a sentence that sounds totally normal but is literally vibrating with this weird, hidden, fake energy, right? For a lot of people, being able to read a room like that feels like a total superpower, this ultimate gift of emotional intelligence. But what if I told you it's actually a paradox? Being this aware feels like a superpower, sure, but for so many, it's actually a completely exhausting psychological trap. Welcome to today's Explainer, where we're going to be decoding the psychology of people who are just, well, too aware. We're diving deep into what it actually means to have a radar mind, and honestly, more importantly, how to stop being completely swallowed by your own thoughts. If your brain feels like it literally doesn't have an off switch, stick around because these insights are going to be a real game changer for you. So here is our roadmap for today. We'll be looking at 1. The burden of sharp awareness. 2. Origins of the radar mind. 3. The 5 hidden signs. 4. The illusion of control. And 5. Finding freedom and balance. Let's jump right in. Section 1. The burden of sharp awareness. A gift or a trap. Section 2. Origins of the radar mind. Genetics versus survival.
So why do some people have this going on? Well, science basically divides this phenomenon into two completely different camps. On one side, we have genetics. Some people are just born with what's called sensory processing sensitivity. You might know them as highly sensitive persons or HSPs. Their nervous system is just built like this ultra-fine filter that naturally absorbs everything around them in extreme high resolution. But on the other side, we have environment. For the second group, being overaware isn't something they were born with. It's actually an inheritance of survival. Neuroscience calls this hyper-vigilance, and this usually takes root in a really emotionally unstable environment, almost always during childhood.
Think about what it's like for a child growing up in a house where the mood of the adults changes like the weather. They can't just live innocently like a normal kid. They had to learn how to become a radar station. They might have literally memorized the exact sound of car tires rolling into the driveway just to predict if a parent was coming home drunk or sober. They learned to measure anger by the exact force of a slamming kitchen cabinet. Biologically speaking, their amygdala, the brain's danger alarm, was permanently flipped to the on position. They built this intense neural network to predict emotional disasters way before they actually happen. That survival shield literally became fused into their skin. Section 3. The 5 hidden signs. The daily toll of overawareness. Okay, so let's talk about the first sign, which is living in this constant state of analysis. Imagine it's 4 p.m. and you get a Slack message from your boss that just says, "Come see me for a minute later." For most people, that's just a boring meeting request. But for the overaware person, oh man, a wave of tension hits instantly. The mind starts running this massive hidden equation. You sense this icy coldness in the wording, or maybe you notice a 3-second pause before someone gives you a compliment, or you catch a slight change in the way someone is breathing. You're just constantly dissecting everyday life. Now, there's an actual neurological reason you feel so wiped out by this. It's something called the default mode network, or DMN. In most people, this system kicks in when they're just daydreaming or chilling out. But if you're an overly aware person, this network never, ever truly rests. Half of your brain is nodding and sipping a latte, and the other half is running a full-blown marathon of analysis, taking mental notes and comparing every little detail. No wonder you're absolutely exhausted by dinner time. But here's the kicker. That analytical camera doesn't just point outward at everyone else. Eventually, it flips around and points right back at you, creating this intense hyper-self-awareness, which brings us straight to our second sign. Let's look at the science behind this for a second. Metacognition, which is controlled by the prefrontal cortex, is basically your ability to think about your own thinking. We all do this to some degree, but for the hyper-aware, that switch gets totally jammed in the on position. You don't just feel sad, you immediately monitor and judge yourself for being sad. You think, wait, why am I sad? I have a great job. I shouldn't feel this way. Even pure joy gets dissected. You laugh out loud at a dinner party, and literally a second later, your mind is floating up near the ceiling evaluating you going, oof, did I laugh too loudly? Did that sound fake? You entirely lose your natural presence because you're constantly monitoring your own performance. And when that internal camera runs for too long, we hit sign 3, the quiet loss of relational innocence. You start to constantly see the backstage of human behavior. This all stems from having a really hyperactive theory of mind. which is our psychological ability to infer other people's hidden intentions. When this dial is turned way up, a coworker bringing you a cup of coffee isn't just them being sweet. Your brain immediately scans their motives. Okay, what favor do they want? Compliments start to feel super layered. Apologies feel incomplete. You start to realize that kindness sometimes comes with conditions attached, and that leaves the highly aware person incredibly cautious, and honestly, sometimes really lonely, even when they're standing right in the middle of a crowded room. All of this constant processing builds up to our fourth sign, an empathy that literally never switches off. Look, there is a huge difference between cognitive empathy and emotional empathy. On one side, cognitive empathy is logically understanding that your friend is sad. It's processed purely as information. But for the overly aware, it crosses a line into emotional empathy. Thanks to highly active mirror neurons, your mind basically acts like absorbent paper. You don't just understand someone's pain, you absorb the whole thing. A stranger is tapping their foot nervously on the subway, and suddenly your own heart is racing. A friend talks to you about their divorce, and that heavy pain just sits in your chest for 3 days. You become the emotional regulator for everyone in your life. And while that makes you an incredible safe space for their emotional waste, it is profoundly exhausting for you. And where do all those suppressed emotions go? Straight into the body, which is sign 5. There's a system called interoception that connects your mental awareness directly to your physical body. Let me show you how brutal this loop can be. Step 1, you drink an espresso, and obviously your heartbeat naturally increases. Step 2, because your interoception is super sensitive, your insular cortex misinterprets this totally harmless signal as extreme danger. It literally thinks, oh my gosh, we're having a panic attack. Step 3, your body dumps stress hormones like cortisol into your system. Step 4, this causes even stronger physical anxiety sensations. It is just a relentless, exhausting loop where completely normal bodily functions get treated as full-blown emergency data.
Section 4, the illusion of control, analysis paralysis. Eventually, you hit a breaking point, and that's analysis paralysis. The unspoken belief here is that if you can just predict every single possible variable in life, you won't ever be surprised by pain. So you run these endless background simulations of worst-case scenarios. What if this person pulls away? What if I get fired tomorrow? You're trying to see the exact landing point of your disappointment ahead of time so it won't crush you when it happens. But the cruel trade-off? You end up replacing actual presence in your life with high-risk project management. You're just managing your life instead of actually living it. Section 5, finding freedom and balance, the 3 principles. So how do we fix this? It's all about adjusting those patterns and setting some real boundaries. Here are 3 incredibly freeing principles of letting go. First, not every silence is a hidden message. If a coworker walks by without smiling at you, they might just have a massive headache. Don't personalize it. Second, not every emotion needs an action to solve it. If your heart starts beating fast, you can literally just say to yourself, oh, that's just a physical sensation, and let it pass without analyzing the life out of it. Third, not every insight needs to be spoken or acted on. You might clearly see someone's deep insecurity, but guess what? You do not have to be their therapist.
At the end of the day, clarity is only a true gift when it comes with boundaries. It's about knowing what belongs to you to handle and what belongs to the rest of the world to just leave alone. When you start setting these boundaries, your intense awareness actually softens. It shifts from fear into curiosity. You stop dissecting every fake smile, and instead you can finally just sit back, breathe, and enjoy a sunny afternoon and a good cup of coffee without feeling like you have to solve all of the world's equations.
Look, you can't just turn off the ceiling light in your mind. That's not how you're wired. But you can absolutely change its intensity. You can turn the mind from a sharp laser that ruthlessly exposes every flaw into a warm candle. A candle that's bright enough to understand human fragility, yet gentle enough to warm yourself as well. Your deep feelings and intense observations, they aren't flaws at all. They are profound wisdom just waiting for a little bit of self-compassion. So I want to leave you with this final thought. Will you continue to let your sharp awareness imprison you, constantly managing your life just to avoid pain? Or will you begin the hard, beautiful journey of setting boundaries, letting go of the world's equations, and using your unique awareness as a warm candle to truly, deeply understand life? Think about that the next time you walk into a silent room. Thanks for learning with me in this explainer today, and keep exploring the absolutely fascinating ways your mind works.